Came from Poland to America. I got married in America. By the time World War I came along, they had 2 sons. By the time World War II came along, we were 4 brothers, went into the service. We were 5 brothers, actually, but 4 went into the service.
You were in the service?
Yeah, on the ships. Yeah, I did nothing, but I was there. My contribution to the war was writing letters to my brothers while I was the last one that went in, answering the letters from my parents and reading them the letters back. That was my big contribution. And then when I went, I was on ships. That's why I know a little bit about it all. But I didn't fight in anything. I didn't do anything. The only time I really got into a fight was when some guy on a ship called me Jew something or other, and I said, I'll fight him. And I fought him, and I lost. That's what happened. And the other guy said, that's okay, Greenfield, you're okay, you're a good guy. I said, sure, I'm beaten up. But it's... So, but what? Look, I went to Cheder.
You went to the Cheder.
God.
Where did you grow up?
Every day, Far Rock, in Long Island, really. I born in the Bronx, but then like every good Jew, if your father makes a decent living, you move out. And we moved out to Long Island, and actually Far Rockaway, if you know New York. That's where we brought up. You know, home, you remember the synagogue. In those days it was $10 a year.
Orthodox synagogue.
Yeah, Orthodox. Not only Orthodox, we spoke Yiddish in our synagogue. And my bar mitzvah speech I made in Yiddish. And as I insulted by the rabbi, because when I got finished, the rabbi in Yiddish says that he's not sure if I understood what I said. He says to me, but it's good he said it. I was so pissed off at him. I mean, Jesus, I worked hard to get that speech. But what can you do? It's nice man. They're all nice men, you know. But no, and that's we went to Cheder every afternoon. You know, it ruined your life. Couldn't play basketball. Couldn't, you know, we always it was. But then we had a good teacher. He was smart. He said, you got to come Sunday morning also. Saturday I wrote a shul, you couldn't help it. Sunday also, he ruined your life. That's why I never went to the movies. I couldn't get to the movies. This was a disaster. I knew all about movies from my friends. They always talked about it. I don't know if I saw half a dozen movies in my childhood. I don't know. There was no TV, you know. But in fact, with some of my friends, because I was so Jewish, they used to call me Jew. Hey, Jew, let's go. With
your Jewish friend. Oh, you're going.
No, my Jewish friend. No, my Jewish friend. Hey, Jew, where we going today? That was it. And I saw nothing wrong with them calling me Jew. I tell you how bad it was. I wore tzitzis until I graduated high school. Now you know what it is to go to the gym and get undressed, and everybody's around there. They got these tzitzis hanging out all over the goddamn place. So, what do you got there? Oh, you go explain it, you know. Go explain. Bad enough. But that's how I grew up. Was I really Orthodox? Did I know anything? What did I know? I could daven good, but I didn't know what the hell it was all about. Still don't, but in a different way. But of course, I had a really very Jewish background, very Jewish. And we were 5 brothers. I'm the only one that came out like this. The only one. My kid brother went to yeshiva and where there, he came out with 0. 0. He went to finally when he got married, he went to a Reform synagogue. It turned out to be 0. When I come to America, he goes with me someplace to some synagogue, conservative or an Orthodox. But he got nothing out of it. He got nothing out of it. The yeshivas was... I think they didn't understand. I don't know what the hell. You know, we're all such chochums. Everybody knows the answer. I know I don't know, but I know. You know, that's why I tell everybody if we Oh, look at this. Somebody calling. Let's see what that is. No Zionism. No Zionism. Our house is, mentioned was the Jews of Poland in the Holocaust. From when the war started, our house with my parents had family there. So Europe, Poland was mentioned. In my house, they really, I would doubt if they even joined the Zionist organization. They gave money to UJA, I'm sure. And we have what we call the Landsmannschaft. You know what a Landsmannschaft? Very active in that. Because of the Landsmannschaft, I know Yiddish. My brothers didn't do well with it, and they were older. I took to it, and I just went last week to see a new show on Yiddish. But Zionism was not anything until at some point, I keep thinking every time I get, at one point I read a book by Pierre Van Passen, The Forgotten Alive. That impressed me because it showed what the Jews did during the war for the Allied forces. That impressed me. That was very important to me. But Zionism was not a part of it. On the other hand, the Holocaust was, and that the Jews from the Holocaust should be able to go wherever they want to go because we could not bring them to America. My parents wanted to bring family, or couldn't bring them. Of course, Palestine, at least that. But I don't believe anybody in my house was ever a member of a Zionist organization. I don't believe it. I don't know. There's nobody alive to talk to. My kid brother, he surely wasn't, and the others. So that's, and because of, I get into the service very late. And I didn't go to the Army. I went to the Merchant Marine Academy to study all this kind of stuff. I had this training. Well, actually, the synagogue was an important part of my getting into the Aliyah Bet.
How come?
Because we were getting out of this, finish being this, and being in the shipping business, and planning to go to college and all that kind of thing. I went back to shul to go see who's alive, who's dead, you know. And in talking to each other, we each were sort of telling where we came from or what we did, you know. Everybody was explaining it. And I told them I knew something about ships. And one of the fellas there was a Zionist in our group. You must understand, he never got to Israel, but that's not important. That's he said, wow, they could use you. And I said, who's they, you know? And he said, they're trying to get the Jews out of Europe. This is 1946. Late 46 already, I guess. And he gave me, they called me, or I called them, and I went downtown New York to meet the guy who recruited people, the so-called recruiter. And we sat and we talked, and for a nickel cup of coffee, we was very successful. I heard all the problem, which theoretically I knew, but you know, when you hear it from somebody's inside, you get a different picture. And I asked them my question, but then the final question I asked was, because they told me that you might go to jail, you might go to, maybe you won't take a year. And I had to go to college, otherwise, you know, in New York, if you don't go to college, you're not Jewish. That's you know, it's a sine qua non. And so I asked him how long it'll take. He said, well, it probably could take up to a year. And I'd go to New York. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, you know, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, geez, where do you get paid? He said, well, I don't know. I so there's no money. I'm going. That, of course, was the final moment. Because any jerk can go and do something for money. But how many can you get to go and do something, take what the risk he's telling you about, just because he gave you a lousy 5-cent cup of coffee, and you're going to go. So that was really the big send-off. And then, of course, I don't know how long, I can't remember how long everything took. It's also ancient. But it was in the end of 46, in late 46. Actually, that's when the American Jews got into the Aliyah Bet business. I'll tell you more about that because I have some research I did on that too. But I got a call at the end of 46. Come here and there. We're going to fly down to Florida, the whole crew, and the ship is there. So then you have to tell your mother. Not so easy. First of all, you're not going to go to college. That was the most difficult thing. Because, being brought up as a nice Jewish boy, you don't go to college, you're a goy already. That's the worst thing you could do. And I remember it because I played it so many times. It was a Friday afternoon. I came back from my meeting with this guy. Second meeting, anyway, whatever it might have been. And I asked my mother I washed the kitchen floor. That was very important, I'm soaping her up, you gotta, but that's it. These things stick with you, later especially. And I sat with her and I told her to sit down. And of course we spoke English Yiddish. We didn't speak English, we didn't speak Yiddish. It was a combination. I loved Yiddish all the time. I had great attraction to it. Like the Yiddish with my parents. To me it was a great education. I see how important it was even later. And I sat my mother down and I told her that I was not going to go to college this year. I have to go someplace and do something. She was distraught until I said to her that it's something to do with the Jewish people. And it still comes up. I mean, she says in Yiddish, as the 15 episodes of the Yiddish mention, you darfst nicht lernen in college. If you want to do something for the Jewish people, you don't have to go to college. That was, and that to me that was the send-off. That's it. So that was really the most important thing, and I couldn't tell her anymore.
Did you know anymore? You knew what you were going to do?
I knew what he told me.
You didn't really know.
But I couldn't. To me, it all sounded like a fantasy, people and things. But I did know we're supposed to get Jews out of Europe to Palestine. That, the basic I knew, but I didn't really know what was going to happen. And I didn't know until I got down to see the ship, the so-called ship.
Was your father also, did you also tell your father, or your mother was the...
No, she took care of it. That was, besides, he was very busy making a good living for the children, that's it. So,
and what made you make that decision, decide that you were now changing your life course?
I'm a very pro-Jewish person, always. School, I was pro-Jewish. I'll tell you something, when I went to high school, big Jew, mostly Jews there. Only later did I look back and see so many things. I wore tzitzis when I grew up. Now you know what it is to go to a regular Goyish high school and have gym? You got to get undressed, and the guy says, "Hey, what do you got there?" He doesn't know what the hell I'm wearing. I don't know what I'm wearing either, but I'm wearing it. And in my class, I had another good friend. She moved here also. And she was a Zionist. When I came back after once, she said, "You got to talk to my Zionist people." I don't know what the hell they want. I don't know Zionists. I know doing things. I don't know Zionists. And my class, I think it was the first and last class in our high school, that had its prom on Saturday night instead of Friday night, and in a kosher place. They respected us, you see, and we were leaders, and I was a leader, and my girl, we want everybody, you know, because the goyim are not so anti-Semitic. We can help them be, but they're not really, you know, if you're living together like that, what the hell do they care, you know? You're a Jew boy, you know, it was all very, you know, that's what happened in my class. And so we flew down to the ship, that's it. We all met at Floyd Bennett Airfield in New York. You get on an airplane.
Your first time on an airplane?
Maybe, I'm not sure. That I can't guarantee. Because when sometimes the ships came down, you know, we would get off in New Orleans or something, but maybe I flew before. I don't know. I really don't know. But so we flew down, and when we got off the plane, we go out to go see where the ship is. I look at it, and a couple of other guys on the airplane, they knew something about ships. Most knew very little. But a few knew. We could talk to each other. This guy was in the Merchant Marine, this guy was in the Navy, you know, we see this thing, we say, holy cow, that ain't no ship. You know, that was a real old piece of dreck. But you knew you were going for a mission, you know, and you just accepted it. And you worked on it, you built it, and you did, and you repaired, and everything had to be done. So, it's not a ship you should really sail. But it did a big job, you know. And most of them, with the exception of a couple of vessels out of the United States, they really were not genuinely seaworthy ships. But because they had so-called foreign license, see, even in the shipping business, there's licenses. And for a ship to leave a port and travel and go someplace, American license, they have how you ship. You have so many lifeboats and so many, it's all figured out. Foreign ships, you have to have according to rules of that country, so you got to get the papers. Well, these vessels were all registered in South America, you know, fake, not fake licenses, but not good ones anyway. They were all what you call bought licenses.
Who was your recruiter?
What?
Who was your recruiter?
My recruiter, the guy called.
Yeah. Was he Israeli or American?
No, I don't. I don't remember. I tried a few times. Say, gee, who the hell was he?
Did it feel like was it like secret? Like,
No.
was it secret?
Oh yes, well that's sure. Oh no. He said you can't tell it. No. He said you can't talk about it. I had to tell my mother, Mom, you can't tell anyone.
So what did you tell people?
I couldn't tell my brothers. What? Oh, I'm going back out on a ship to sail. That's all. Oh, Murray.
Oh, you didn't tell your brothers. You only told your mother.
That's right. I couldn't tell them. 'Cause I knew if I would tell them, well, I didn't know. I just didn't, that's all. Well, I was afraid if I told one brother, he would say, I'm coming with you. He was very Jewish. He moved here in the end, many years later. There was one brother I knew. My kid brother didn't make it. He was too young. My other brother, who became a communist in the army, he was passé. I wouldn't tell him the right time of day, so that was okay, you know. No, it's Jewish family, and you got that right. But my oldest brother complained to me years later, why didn't you tell me? I would have come with you. He would have gone. He came here to live in the end. Got to be 65, he said, take the business and do whatever you want, but I'm going to Israel, that's all. And once again, it's because we have a real Jewish home. It was very Jewish. How kosher was it? I didn't expect a rabbi to eat in our house, you know. But we had 2 sets of dishes. Did we have Friday night meals? No, I don't think so. I don't remember if we did. I don't remember having Friday night. Everybody. My father worked hard. He got home late. You know, it was a very difficult, a good business. Only when one of his sons two sons started to take over the business. He said, now I can go to shul. So he used to try to go to shul. You know, it's just, no. Look, when I got on the ship with all these other guys, those who knew nothing about ships, this was a big ship. Those who knew something, this ain't no ship. But that's what we had. And because we weren't ignorant people, we understood right away that this is what you got to work with, and you got to work with it. But we never could foresee and understand anything until it happened. We went from Florida to Baltimore. An incident on the way, we had trouble, so we put the ship into South Carolina. There's a problem. The water, we didn't have water for 2 or 3 days. Oh, terrible. So we're going to go in and get an engineer because we weren't that good. He said, listen, fellas, when you go to take the showers, because you're going to a YMCA, only a couple of guys at a time. Don't go all at once, you know.
Was all your crew Jewish?
No.
Did you ever ask them why they joined?
Oh, I learned. I didn't ask him. I learned as I went along with him. I did a lot of research. I wrote a book on it also, you know, so I did a lot of research on it. But at the time, I also asked them. One guy was an Irishman. And his father had run away from Ireland, come to America. And he had a good friend, a Jewish boy, that was going because he's a Zionist. They went to school together. Both went to college together. Harvard. And his Jewish friend said I'm going with you. That's it. And as far as he was concerned, fuck the British. That was it. That was, you know, one Polish American boy worked in a Jewish bakery. He had been in the Merchant Marine Eagle, but he worked in the bakery, in and out. He knew about the Holocaust from these people. And he had great respect for them. That's why he had to go. You know, there were funny things that motivate people.
Interesting.
And you're not always sure. There were some Zionists also. To a certain extent, they were the most difficult on the ship.
Okay.
They had rules and regulations, Zionism, which I really can't explain, but they were probably the most difficult. They weren't bad, but I don't know, they always had reasons and figured things out, and all kinds of, and most of it, we didn't care what the hell it was all about. We're going to save Jews, you know. All the other theoretical, what do they call them? Polemics of being a Zionist and Jewish state and all that. That's I'm not even sure if some knew, but I'm not sure if some of us really knew Jewish state. Even though I had visited Palestine a year before on my Merchant Marine, I came here. Let's see what it was. It was I worked. I was working on the ship. I took a ship that deliberately came this area, and I went to go look at it. It was interesting to me.
When was that? 1940?
46.
What were your impressions of the?
My impression? Well, my big impression was it was a zoo in Tel Aviv and they had a kangaroo. The Jewish kangaroo. That was very it's funny. Then I met some people on the kibbutz. I said, gee, that's pretty interesting. But, you know, and it sounded nice to me, but it didn't it didn't really impress me that I had to be at the.
Did that affect your
I
decision?
even like. I went to, with our ship went to Egypt. I liked Egypt also. You know.
Didn't make a special impression as Israel or like the Promised Land?
No. Only later did I start to read what the hell it was all about. You see, it took, as I say, I read Pierre Ven's Passions, The Forgotten Alive. That was very important in terms of World War II, before World War II, what the Jews did to help the British Army, to help with the war. But I guess whatever I learned from reading other books, that's same thing I must say. You know, at the same time, I read about who are those people in Turkey that we want to save. Oh, Jesus,
Now?
Yeah, they were killed 100 years ago. The Turks killed them.
They had their the Armenians?
Yes, the Armenians. At that time also, I said, geez, look what they did to the Armenians. That's terrible, you know. But it was at the same time that I read both of these things. And in some way I saw them going together. Couldn't understand why we don't help the Armenians. But I wouldn't go to help the Armenians. That wasn't that close to me. Jews were something close to me. But, who wrote the book on the Armenians? They called me Aram. What's his name? My name is Aram, A-R-A-M. I'll think of the guy who wrote it.
You can check it up soon.
Yeah, you look it up. No, I always had a very... Still today, I still can't understand why the hell nobody does anything about it. It bothers me till today. It doesn't bother me enough that I'll go fight for it. The Jewish question did, because I was closer to it. But the Armenian one, I figure somebody else has got to do something, not me.
And you end up in Europe in 46, 47?
No, I went there. No, 47, I'm already with this. Our ship, we got on the ship the end of 46, the beginning of 47. And then we sailed from Baltimore to the Azores. It's an island just outside of Portugal. And then we went into Europe itself to pick up the Jews. You went to the Azores because we need fuel. And all the ships went to the Azores. It's 2/3 across the Atlantic. And these vessels were not real ocean-going vessels, so you went there. Now there's a whole story in itself I only discovered over the past year. How come the Azores are under British command pretty much? How come we got fuel there? And everybody's telling me it's money, it's money. And I said, it's got to be something more than it was. There was a whole Jewish community in the Azores at once. Nice Jews. But it was after the Jews were driven out of Spain. When the Jews were driven out, they spread the Sephardim spread all over the world. And some went to live in the Azores, built a Jewish community, even have a synagogue. Not many left. In fact, none of them are Jewish anymore, but they've rebuilt the synagogue a little bit. No, you don't know anything. Of course not. Nobody knows. I only found this out 2 years ago. I couldn't understand why the Azores sold fuel. It can't be just he was getting paid off. It was happening too often. Our airplanes from America went to the Azores and got refueled and then came to Palestine, to Israel. Because there was a Jew there. Yeah. If you ever want to read it, I'll tell you where. It's a fascinating story. I mean, the guy who did the research, not the research, I found out when it happened, when I suddenly started Leah to try and unveil this whole problem. Why? I have a friend called, his name is Fromer, F-R-O-M-M-E-R. He writes books on tourism, Jewish tourism, on baseball. He's good. He and his wife, they're both professors. Actually, they just retired. And I sent him an email 2 years ago. I said, geez, I says, what the hell's this all about? What's in the Azor? What do you know about it? He sent me reams of paper. Jews in the Azores, how they built the synagogue. No.